What's up, guys? Welcome to another Hearthstone guide. In this guide we're going to be covering the Mage, and to help us cover the Mage in this video I'm going to be bringing back Akky and Cani, and we also have a new guest this week for the Mage, and it is Mojo. Guys, what's going on?
How much, man?
Pretty good.
Good. And as always, guys, what I'm going to go into is I'm going to cover the hero power and the legendary card for the Mage, and then we're going to kind of go into some strength and weaknesses, and then maybe some different builds that we've seen. And we're going to talk about what's going on with the Mage currently in the Hearthstone beta. So, first things first, let's talk about the legendary Archmage Antonidas. 5/7 for 7 mana, and whenever you cast a spell you put a fireball into your hand. So this card can become very overpowered very quickly. And then the hero power for the Mage is pretty much the ping of death. You can pretty much ping anything on the board for 1 damage for 2 cost at any time. But let's go into some strengths and weaknesses of the Mage. So for strengths, we're going to bring in Akky. Akky, what are some really strong suits of a Mage that you've seen since you've been playing?
Just the ability to do a lot of damage with spells. So, versus like playing a minion where you have to wait for it to come out of its sleeping phase. You can just play the spell and do the damage, and they're sort of very focused around that. A lot of things, like they got some really nice cards that synergize really well, like the Sorcerer's Apprentices, which makes those spells cheaper. And another really good card, like the Mana Worm, which gains +1 attack every time you use a spell. So you have it, see how it all sort of synergizes really nicely. And like you said, with the control with the ping, being able to ping anything, so it's like so someone plays the Sunwalker, you can ping the shield off straight away for 2 mana. It's really probably one of the best hero powers, if not the best.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And then weaknesses for the Mage. I know that that there's very few. There's a lot of complaining on the forums about how overpowered mages are, and I know that they did a little bit of nerfing to that, and I'm going to bring in Cani to kind of discuss what they did there. But Cani, what are kind of some of the weaknesses that they have on the Mage?
I mean, like you said, there was a lot of nerfs that hit the Mage deck. A lot of their freeze control was nerfed, and that was, because of it was their strong suit that had no weakness to it. So to counter Mage decks now, a lot of people, you use decks that heal a lot. Paladin, the Guardian of Kings, for example, when you play it, you gain health. That's a good counter to mages because it helps to offset the damage that they're dealing with. Their absolutely obscene amount of spells that they have in their arsenal.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, there really isn't a whole lot that you can do other than outplay them at that point. Like you just have
to get through the spells. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if you can't heal back the damage that they're dealing with their fireballs or their pyroblasts, then you pretty much have to kill them quicker than they can kill you. So, a good counter would be a rush deck of some kind. And if they don't have those freeze spells in their deck because they were nerfed, then you're going to be looking at a quick win as opposed to, they need a lot of their late game because Pyro is so expensive.
Right.
You're looking at turn 8 just to get Pyroblast out, which is 10 damage. So, if you can get them down earlier than that, then that's going to be one of the strong suits to you as well. So that's always a good strategy to use.
And just a quick cover of the nerfs before we get into builds. They nerfed Frost Nova from 2 mana to 3 mana. Still does the same thing, freezes all enemy minions. They nerfed Cone of Cold, same thing. They increased the mana cost by 1, so it now costs 4 instead of 3. And then Blizzard, they actually nerfed the mana cost of this now. And as we were talking about earlier, and I'm actually going to bring in Mojo on this one, we were actually talking about this a little bit ago, is the difference now between Blizzard and Flame Strike is 1 mana cost, but you get 2 extra damage minus the freeze. So that kind of actually becomes almost more worth it to have that extra Flame Strike as opposed to that extra Blizzard in a lot of cases, just because of the pure extra damage that you're doing to the minions around you.
And Mage also has a lot of spell power potential, and just having that 1 extra cost to give yourself 2 bonus damage rather than the freeze, that just kills stuff. There aren't many minions with more than 4 life as it is.
Right. And especially in decks that are going to beat you, you know what I mean? Like those quick Zerg decks, 4 damage is pretty much going to kill anything in its path. I mean, there's, like you said, by turn 7, there's not much that's going to be on the board that's going to have more than 4 health. But anyway, let's get into some of the builds and some of like the more common practices for Mage. We talked about spell power a little bit, but go into, you know, kind of some of the more common builds you've seen in playing your Mage and leveling up your Mage, and then maybe even some tips and tricks that maybe you've seen that you use going into your Mage.
So starting out, I started with obviously the Frost Mage, the very control-y Mage style. This was pre-nerf. It was just very strong, and it just seemed like the logical play. You get tons of AoE freeze. But even before it was nerfed, I swayed away from that because I realized Mage has a ton of potential to just kill people. And you've got Frost Bolts, like those 3 damage for 2 mana. That's really good. Synergizes well with your passive too. Hero Power, I guess it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 4 damage for 4 mana, single target. You have Fireballs, 6 damage for 4 mana, single target. And you've also got Polymorphs. So without the Frost spells, you still have a ton of potential to board wipe and just control the board. So I swayed more into a straight-up damage style of Mage, where I added in Amani Berserkers, so I could ping those with my Hero Power. And now that's a 2-cost 5/2, which is a huge threat. They have to answer that immediately. Right. I added in the Gurubashi Berserkers, which is the 5-cost 2/7, where whenever it takes damage, it gets +3 attack. So that's the same thing, where they have to answer that, but they can't just answer it, they have to straight up kill it. And 7 life is a lot to go through. Mm-hmm. Mage just has a lot of potential going for a straight damage build. And then on top of that, you get them to 10 life and you just Pyroblast it in the game.
Right.
That's
and real quick, guys, in case you're kind of scratching your head a little bit, remember that the hero power for the Mage, you can literally ping anything on the board, including friendly minions. So any minion that has like an enrage attack, such as the Gurubashi Berserker or the Amani Berserker that he was talking about, you can hit that yourself, and that's what he's talking about. You don't have to run that into another minion. You can actually control the enrage with your own hero power, which is what makes the Mage so strong and makes that hero power so good, is because it's only taking 1 health off, but it's activating that enrage ability. So I wanted to make sure that they knew what you were talking about real quick, but go ahead and keep going.
Yeah. So those are kind of the wild cards that I think synergize especially well with the Mage. I mean, they work in other decks too, but especially well with the Mage, just having those working so well with the hero power. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I like to play the early game with the Mage deck, so they have to use their control spells. Like I put in Fairy Dragons because they have to have creatures out to stop those. You can't stop them with any abilities because they can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, right?
Right.
So that's just a very solid 3/2 2-drop. I typically find that if I get one on turn 2, or even a coin turn 1, they will do 9, basically 10 damage in a game, which is a third of their life. That's a ton.
Right, and especially with Pyroblast, you know, the goal is really make it to turn 8 and it's GG, you know, hopefully.
Yeah. If your draws are right, you're playing with a 20 health pool on your enemy rather than a 30 health pool, because Pyroblast just ends the game once they have 10 life left.
Right.
So my goal is to get them to 10 life, not to get them to 0 life.
Yeah, and then going into, you know, I don't know if Akky or Cani, if either of you have, you know, seen some. I know I've personally seen a few other different variations of the Mage. I've seen, you know, almost more of a, oh gosh, what is it? Like a lot of minions, like, you know, Defenders of Argus. I've seen, you know, the Harvest Golems. I've seen, you know, just some crazy builds going up in the ranks through ranked at, you know, ranks 10, 9, 8, and 7. I've seen just crazy Mage decks with a lot of minions. I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with that, or, you know, what kind of mages you typically run into in your playing. Akky, I guess we can start with you there.
All mages are kind of I think lately now they all just run Pyroblast. I think you'll always see that in just about every
Yeah.
mage deck now, but it's just, yeah, it's just different variations of that strategy, it seems. It's just get them down low and wait till turn 8 until when you can Pyroblast them, so you'll see people that use like rush decks, like with charge minions or cheap minions that'll just, you know, bring you down, chip it down until they get to turn 8 when they can just end you, that sort of thing. So I think that's, you know, I don't see much freeze. I think that's pretty much gone now.
Yeah, they pretty much
With
just
the
nerfed
nerf,
that right off
yeah.
the board. Yeah.
And now it's just get them down and end with Pyroblast, basically. So.
Cani, anything that you've seen that's strange or unique?
I mean, like you said, a lot of minion flooding, like cheap early game. Things like Leper Gnome, those help to take down the enemy quickly. There's a lot of other things. Mojo covered the Berserkers, and for the early game, the Amani Berserkers is a fantastic card to get, but a lot of it is just spells. Like I said, the only thing to really counter it is heal through it, and not every class can do that. So
right.
It's really tough sometimes when you come up against a mage because you have to kind of figure out what you're gonna do. But everything, like Akky says, just seems to be a variation on Pyroblast, or another one is Ice Lance. That's an insane amount of damage. I think that's 10 damage in a turn.
Yeah.
11 maybe, 3 and then 4
Yeah,
4. So it's just an obscene amount of damage, and that's turn 5 or 6, I think. So it's just all spell damage right now. I don't think I've seen much else.
If you tried.
Yep. So that's as far as the mage strengths and deck variations. It's pretty much all spells, I think.
All right, well, guys, we pretty much covered the mage, and like I said, right now on the forums and in the current way that Hearthstone is set up, at the date of us making this video, is mages right now are pretty overpowered. It seems. I would imagine there will probably be some kind of nerf coming to Pyroblast at some point, because it's kind of taken over as the new overpowered endgame card. And you'll see a lot of mage decks, especially if you're trying to work your way up through the ranked games. You will run into mages probably more often than almost any other class. At least that's been my experience so far. So I hope this kind of helps and explains a little bit more of what's going on with mages, what you can do to really, own your opponent. Really, if you play a mage, you have the ability to do a ton of damage and have a lot of fun playing it as well. It is a really fun class to play. So I hope this guide helped, and as always, we will see you in the next one.